Hello, Rod?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I can see you, but I can hear you.
Yeah, I turned off the video.
All right. So everything is fine there in the US?
I don't know how things are in the US. What the fuck do you mean? I'm in the Rocky Mountains and there's everything here is fine because it's not in the US. It's in the air, in the sky. It's the sky path.
Right. Understood, yeah. That's why I asked you. I knew you would answer something very pinchy. Mm. Yes, I can imagine. The same as I am here in Norway. There is no Norway, just this house and this place and these mountains and ocean, and that's it. I can see you. Mhm. Right. So
It's just coming winter here. On the verge, almost there.
we have still 8 degrees or nearly 10 degrees plus, so it's kind of far away from winter. It was colder before, but now again warmer. The climate has changed totally, such a mess. And last winter we didn't have snow. Can you imagine? In Norway, no snow.
No, I can't imagine.
So people use this skiing, on the Rolex. They run on. Funny.
It's a way of life.
They miss it so much that they always do something. They have even special machines in training for these. Right.
I was contacted this week by a professor of psychology in Australia whose name is Werner Sattmann. And he has created a program, an educational program called Learning for Sustainability. And it's a psychological program, not an environmental one. I shared it with Don Solomon. You know him?
Yes, I know Don.
And both of us thought it looks pretty interesting. There's quite a good application also of Gebser's work and just about everything. He includes everything. But he has a transcendental focus and uses it to make people aware of the situation in the world. So he would like to work with University of Human Unity.
Wonderful.
He would like probably to come in January, and then I think that he would like to somehow connect his online program with Uhu.
Wonderful. We have to actually start developing our online programs. It is a little bit out of pace, it's kind of stagnating. Though I put new courses, it is old format. There's something we are not dynamic enough,
Yeah. Well, nobody, at least as far as I know, nobody's really putting their full energy into it.
Right. Well,
you're more active than others.
Yeah, I upload only files. I uploaded 2 courses actually on this Vedic studies in Russian. I have a big group of Russians who are interested to continue. Already 1 year they are studying together with me and online in this format, which is excellent. By the way, thank you for Zoom. This suggestion was super good. I'm using Zoom now. and so happy with it.
Yeah, we're using it here, and it's much better than Skype.
Yes, and better than other programs. There is other one who also you pay something. Right.
Good.
So let us think, and this what is a new person, Matthew. Maybe you didn't meet him before. No. He is also very, very dynamic and very good thinking. He knows Ken Wilber very well. And which makes him unique in a way, because nobody can break through that Ken Wilber thing, but he did. And we studied with him our paradigm for 3 weeks. I was in his house. He invited me specially for that. And we examined Ken Wilber in depth. He was presenting it, and we were looking what was lacking, where the problem is. And we found the problem, and he agreed with that. You know what the problem was? That Ken Wilber is mainly apprehensive as science today in general. He is not comprehensive. He tries to get understanding out of stating things as they are. So he's visual mainly. So he has no place for language as such, for linguistic approaches separate, nor for hearing. You see, neither for language nor for hearing. He has vision, self, and then he has this manifestation part. So that's why he has this quadruple. Yeah? But there is no place. It's kind of presumed that speech and hearing is everywhere. Yeah, it's presumed, but it is not dealt with separately. And it was a great discovery. He said it was for him kind of clarifying why Ken Wilber is not totally integral, but partially. Yes.
And Through Your Window is totally speech.
Right.
Speech-based.
Right.
So he can never really grasp that.
Yes, because he is not apprehensive. He is not just stating things, putting them in visual sense. He is comprehending them. He understands them deeply, how they relate and where they're coming from. That was a great discovery for me. And also I kind of came to know a little closer.
But a lot of people are like that. Our culture is like that.
Right. Science in general today. Siv is studying psychology, and if you read her books, it's all just stating what it is. This is it, that is it, they did this, they did that, and there is no trying to understand what it is, There is no even slightest possibility to comprehend. Just stating things. And that is what we call apprehensive. So to say, seeing things, but not really understanding what they are. And not even trying, because they even think it's impossible to understand.
Right.
Yeah, Gunhild is online. Hi, Gunhild. It's nice to see you. You can switch on microphone if you like.
Good morning.
Morning.
At least here this morning. I don't know.
Afternoon.
Right. 3:30 already here. Soon it will be dark. We shifted to another time, winter time.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you, Gunhild? Everything is fine?
Yeah, on the whole, everything is fine.
On the whole. Only on the whole?
I've seen everything together, if I'm putting together.
Right. So Rod, to come back to this idea of organizing the seminar, we were discussing, 4 of us, this possibility, and Matthew said that he would have these 3 days available from 26th to 28th of February. I would love him to come. He does a lot of work. He also comes from the background of Montessori education. Yeah.
I was thinking earlier in the month.
Earlier, yeah, but he can't do it earlier. That's why we shifted it to this Sri Aurobindo's birthday. Maybe it's a bit too much, no? On Sri Aurobindo's
18th, 19th, and 20th would be better.
Yeah, I can imagine. Before Mother's birthday would be good.
Yeah. That next week is the Oroville birthday, and it tends to be, people are very busy with their holidays, and it's not so concentrated.
Well, from the spiritual point of view, it should be okay that week. That week is most charged with the force, you know, and maybe it is not so bad. But I know that on the birthday, 28th, everybody goes in the morning, 4 o'clock, and then everybody sleeps immediately from 11 till.
Yeah, but even that week, because the schools are out. And the mother's birthday is more spiritually charged.
Yeah, well, it's that week from 21st to 28th is very good week, actually. So
anyway, you don't think that the people that I'm bringing are going to be leaving on the 23rd?
All right, that's why. Then we have to rethink the whole thing. We have to talk to him today.
And these people that I'm bringing are actually funding Uhu.
All right. Then we need them. Who are they actually? I don't know.
So, and from they will be from in January and February. They'll be very connected with everything. So I mean, it's okay if they miss the 3-day, but it would be better if they didn't have to.
Right.
When is he coming?
He said that he will have that week, only not before. But we can talk to him. Maybe he
won't he won't participate in the courses then.
Right, and yeah, we have to discuss with him now. And he was. We were thinking also to maybe start a forum online, which would be discussing these issues and publishing articles and having our presentations there in this kind of forum, like, you know, integral paradigm of knowledge, which in itself is a very ambitious name, project. Nowadays, nobody wants even to think in those great terms. Everybody does some small work and so on.
Well, you know, my point of view on that has always been and continues to be that for it to really develop, it's important for people to be working closely together.
Right.
I mean, we need to be sharing each other's paradigms in a more dynamic way. And just coming into a forum means that you're still primarily occupied with your particular focus that you bring to the forum. But to really integrate those, the possibility is there that there could be an institutional effort to create an integral paradigm. And in order to do that, people need to be interacting with each other in a learning environment. So anyway, that's always been my point of view.
Yeah, we had this from the beginning that we are the field of this application of this new consciousness. And if we are not going to manage it, what are we going to teach and what are we going to say to others? that they don't know. We have to discover something which was not there before in some new format. And for that, of course, this interaction is the only way. If this team is not making it, then there will be no such thing. Theoretically, everything is already spoken. Maybe not everything, but still the major picture is there. But
most things will, as far as speaking goes, most things will just be repeated.
Right.
So I was hoping that at least for a few weeks there could be an experience of what the potential is. I mean, if we could do it regularly and offer a learning environment which was truly dynamic, that would be the best thing. But even if it could happen in a few weeks of continuous concentration, that would be an indication. Something would come out of it which would be more of an embodiment.
Right. So you think that we can do this January, February?
I think we can if we're there.
You are arriving on the 6th, you said, yes, of January, 7th, something.
I'm arriving on the 11th.
On the 11th. Right. So you will be 2 months there, and you will be.
I'll be there for 3 months, but.
Will be giving your courses, yes, on
and I'll do whatever I'm going to do. I will do in that 6-week period.
Okay. Right. We will have to suggest to our group to come together within this period, at least 1 month, that they would be there to work out something and to attend to different presentations, your courses, and to kind of tune in, to this issue altogether. Because
this would be great. If we could do that for a month, it would be really good.
Right. Okay.
Because what has happened in the past that we've seen is that everyone gets inspired by that mutual exposure. Something really gets integrated outside of the theoretical framework or inside of it, but more substantially. It affects everyone who's involved, and it should. So I look forward to that possibility if people are there.
But it should be, it would be the idea would be, of course, if we could stay somewhere as a group also like this online, that it's continuous. I think this was as in your mind when you were saying that. And I feel also when you said participate or have a learning environment, in that way one could also invite people who are around, where one feels they are also searching in that direction. They have maybe a little bit different backgrounds, but in that way it could grow also perhaps. Last time we were saying that perhaps everyone has some group, and I was thinking, do I have a group? And I know I have many people who are somewhere spiritual in different ways and different approaches, and maybe some they're also not so familiar with English or wouldn't have that interest directly to participate in that way, but I could imagine that maybe there could be some kind of people who are interested and who are working maybe just with a different language, but maybe also not so far away. That's just a suggestion that, yeah.
By far away, what do you mean?
Far away from, means they have also the ideal of integral, but maybe under different, this different name. Yeah. For example, here are, I have one friend, she's quite spiritual, but she's coming from a different way, or there are some from anthroposophy or
Gapser. There is the
yesterday, for example, yesterday I was Googling and searching because I couldn't get this, which Vladimir, what you sent to me, and I was looking just, I wanted on the Google, and I found one group under Gapser. They call themselves also integral, and I don't know, they have now gone more into healing, but it sounds really actually interesting. I have no idea what this group is, but it's also somebody had an experience and he quit his job, which was a very high job here. And I mean, this was just, I'm just saying as an example that, yeah, it could be like, as well as Can Wilbeck, as well as Gapser, as well as, for example, Steiner, that there are also people and ideas. But anyway, that's our idea also, to bring together people from different things. And think also, and secondly, we were thinking also how in the today's time, what comes to us, where we have to stand, and how can the integral paradigm help today's time. And while I was having this question this week, I was also noting some things, how maybe integral paradigm is already by some people who are living it just already. And that's what be also interesting. Where's it living already? Where's this flame already? And yeah.
It has to be somewhere.
Yeah, I saw it already. The flame is already there, and that is the hope.
Because,
I mean,
you know, Gapser is only making an announcement that it's coming.
But he saw it also. The interesting thing in German, you say, he says, it's not just some concept, but it is something which is Geschichte. He says, which is geschehen. He says it is history. History means something which has happened. He says it really has happened. And he speaks of Sri Aurobindo, that Sri Aurobindo just tells to him the same thing which he read Love Divine. I found all this by the internet and by somebody.
But you know, we know from being in the proximity of the mother, which Gapser could also have had a sense of, that there's a consciousness that has to manifest itself in forms, in ways that don't actually exist, but they are perceptible by a higher mind. And we can feel their potency on other planes. But our whole problem in the world today is that paradigm is not manifesting. So yeah, a few people will leave their jobs, and a few people will be inspired to do something that is more integral. But it's a path which is not yet actually formed. And it requires a lot of energy. That energy is there, but it doesn't have its structures through which it can work on the society or on the life of the person. You know, you can step out of the old to some extent, but to create something new is another dimension. We can talk about it, but we don't really see it concretely.
Right. Well, that is these concepts or these higher ideas. They can wait as long as it is necessary. You know, they don't kind of diminish their force from being not embodied or something. So they will wait for the proper time to be embodied and to give its power to the manifestation. So one day they will come. But humanity is going through such ordeal nowadays that kind of we have to clean up all that kind of underground, which is kind of flooding up, coming up with all the shit, bringing up. So then, of course, there is no much time for this embodiment. But I think we have to continue doing it. This is a great idea of embodying these ideals which are waiting. It's the same as Auroville in the subtle plane is waiting, you know, and people in Auroville do something totally different, partially, of course, the same, but truly speaking, to embody those ideals are very difficult.
I found another interesting concept in Latso. He says you have to become lucid, transparent. And there I found this, I thought really I would merely read Mother or Shri Aurobindo, this become silent, and this other thing from the East, the path is by going. You have to go the next path. You cannot see the whole path, but just to go one little step and try to be open and see. And this may already form that thing which can manifest. I mean, just to be, because
One thing is to be transparent, other is to have something to manifest. So to discover that which has to be manifested, we have to do this work. There is the complexity of this study is so huge and so beautiful. And I want to refer a few things. I want to say that I received a letter. I just saw that Matthew is sick and he cannot come online, very sick, something coughing and some virus fever. He will not come today. And Latso is in Switzerland. His father died. And so he is urgently coming to see. He is here. Hi, Latso. Just mentioned you will live long life, as we say in Russian. When we mention someone and he comes in, that's the superstition.
I want to greet Latso, but I also want to continue the conversation.
Right.
And then Latso can become enlightened more quickly. One of the things that is emerging and that is announced by those who are already far on the path is a new consciousness of time. And in order for that new consciousness to emerge, there's a kind of transparency is needed that requires also a shift in perception. So if there are geniuses like us, people who are actually concentrated in their speech center and in their musical harmonic center and their higher mind philosophical center, and are interacting on the basis of a different time sense, then they're not going to be, first of all, constrained by the conventional time sense. But as long as we're working in a conventional environment, we are going to be constrained by the conventional time sense. So if there's a group of people who are working together with a much larger time sense and the energy that comes with that, then forms can be created that anticipate the changes in society that have to be made. And then it becomes an actual transitional work. But as long as we're on the theoretical plane, everything is going to go more or less according to what you're referring to, the old patterns that are experiencing their own limitations, and all of the breakdown of structures which will be coming, and that's inevitable. But there's another energy level and consciousness level which is outside of those time constraints. Then how to move into that in a dynamic way is an interesting challenge. It's not theoretical so much.
We have to take with us what we have, yes, to kind of enlighten that, and to bring it to bring light to it, and to use it as instruments later, already on another base, on another ground. Yeah, and of course, this is. To be enlightened is not enough. Yeah, you have to be enlightened with the instruments of knowledge. To be enlightened and to leave instruments of knowledge is good, but not enough. It's not our task just to leave and to disappear in the light. Our task is to enlighten the instruments, the speech, the mind, the feeling, the touch. All the senses have to be already working differently. So in order to do that, we need, of course, to shift to another time level, and then to bring all those instruments with us and see what happens, to deconstruct their workings, to deconstruct their concepts, to clean up their mistakes and their assumptions. And there is a lot of work in this field, so to say, to clean up the whole field of science, of philosophy, of psychology, bring some coherence, some comprehension into them. Because they have so much, they piled up so much apprehensive knowledge, but they didn't work much on comprehension. They really explained everything in terms of their own kind of, and their own grasp of things. And that is not enough. There is not only biological psychology as it is today presented. They come down to the biological psychology because they can't explain consciousness. So it becomes only biological phenomenon. And we were today tracing this motivation concept, which Steve is studying. It's kind of interesting how they jumped from motivations such as coming from Freud, sexual and aggressive as major aggression as two major motivations, yes? And then they say that there must be something else. Not only this, there has to be some intrinsic motivation, yes? Not dictated by the sex impulse or aggression or hunger, as it is later added, or thirst, but and fear. These are not positive motivators. There must be some other positive motivation, and they jump, and there is a jump. There must be intrinsic motivation, intrinsic, which is not this. And this is so funny to see, so childish. And then they develop the whole thing on this intrinsic motivation, which is kind of interesting to see. So all that has to be deconstructed and put into proper perspective of understanding. And there is much work to be done. We didn't do yet anything much. Of course, in the field of philosophy, Rod did quite a bit in phenomenology, and I touched only very little on linguistics. I never did the work, serious work. Means deconstructive work, to really see the deeper meaning, understand. So, but to do that, I need much more. I don't have enough. Yes, I have only an entry into the world, but I didn't yet live in that world. I didn't enter it. I looked through the window and saw some light, and I know that it is there, but we must move and live and do the work. The same with Latso. Latso did an amazing work on comprehensive work on music to understand it differently. We discussed very often in our we never lost connection, so luckily I am updated with what Latso is doing, but truly speaking, more can be done, and we have to all learn from one another what we do, our discoveries, and see the differences in approaches. So I fully agree that we have to shift to another level, another perception of time. In Gibsarian terms, yes, this new time, the eruption of time, which was suppressed for so long by this spatial apprehensive consciousness, which puts everything into just availability, but not in understanding. There is no development. Yes, Latso, would you like to share your thoughts or something, since you joined in this moment of time?
I came running. I am between death and birth, which means that on last Sunday my father died, and tomorrow there is the birthday of my mother. So
wonderful.
Yes.
This is called a bardo in Tibetan.
Bardo.
The bardo, it's the between death and birth.
Okay, so what is there to say? I am not in my stuff. I am just nowhere between the worlds. In this cold climate here, it is very cold.
Where are you?
In Switzerland again. Unfortunately, but this is also, it can be seen, if you don't object to this time shifts, and if you don't object to anything.
Which you shouldn't, of course, because everything is perfect.
Exactly, this is the point. And this is also my discovery, the discovery in the ashram, whatever happens, and we have become now ashramites, start on 1st of January, so it gives the kind of other seal on the soul.
You look so different now that you're an ashramite.
Yes, exactly. It gives you a kind of different thing. No, the thing was that Manoj Da was there, and he said one thing which was interesting, and I found that it is for, if you are once you are an earthling, you become an ashramite sort of, no? Because the earthling as such, he does not know that if he changes, that he makes the changes on the earth happening. So this oneness thing, which in the ashram is cultivated in its own essence, no? With a kind of common notion, it exists in the earth atmosphere, and we are all concerned, so basically we are all ashramites. So
this sounds extraordinarily like spiritual elitism.
No, it is the contrary of elitism. You are doomed. You are doomed to be always reminded of it. And you have to move your ass, because the rest can stay in the tamasic world, but sort of you can't, because the call is there, and there has to be this what we call the change, but not in that way that you must now. No, I mean, it is not a mental thing, but it is you kind of grow into that cloud of that consciousness.
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that it's not elitism.
It might be elitism. It depends on the individual. You know that.
Elitism is not a bad thing, by the way, if it is true. Yeah, but if it is false, of course, it's very strange. So,
normally, it's false by definition.
But it's maybe when the what Latso says, when the inside is falling apart and it's only the form, then it is bad. But if it's filled with something, and you can then from outside you say it is elitism, then it is okay. Then we maybe all edited. Everybody.
But I don't quite understand what you are talking about, because lately I had a kind of experience watching a crow. And watching this crow, I was asking myself, well, whom do you see actually? You saw the form of a crow, but you saw it flying. So this flying thing, it was a knower there, someone who knew how to fly. And I was perplexed because this knower, if I would be in that body of the crow, I would for sure fall down. So
How do you know about it? That you would fall?
No,
Sarah.
I have a crow. I can tell a crow story also.
It is not telling about crow stories, but concentrating on the knower of the action. Yeah. Because
I was working with a neuroscientist this year on consciousness. What is consciousness? And he's working with animals, and we were observing a film about a crow that could execute 10 consecutive steps of cognition in order to solve a problem. And he solved the problem in unique ways every time, but using those 10 skills that he had learned. And then the neuroscientist says, we have taught the crow how to do these things. and the crow is looking around at the scientists saying, I can solve your puzzle quite easily. I can use your tools, which you have given me. But you don't know anything about what I'm actually capable of doing.
you understand? So this one, it puts me in contact with someone who, the difficulty is this, that you see somehow outside of yourself and you believe that it is another thing than yourself. And this I saw also in making music. You make music and it is difficult to make a contact because you play your tunes and basically you remain in that, normally what they do, they remain in that, in this echo from the past. And this echo is so strong that they cannot but move inside of that echo, plus minus certain things which might be more or less extraordinary. Now, to get to the knower of the thing and concentrating on him, you then discover that the knower is also in the violin, that it is a bridge to this oneness. It is in the string. He is in the string. He is in the movement. He is in the room. He is all over. So instead of finding out how shall I do now this and that, you connect to him outside of yourself, and you know yourself as being outside of yourself, in the room, in the resonance of the room, in the resonance of the vibration of the strings, etc., etc. You can imagine what it is, and you find your pieces, and you join them to one kind of bath of in that oneness. This is what I mean, and I find this beautiful because it works for me, and I can go wherever I want, and I find always the same. And what shall I tell you? It's simple. It's not that difficult. And because in the crow it is the same, you understand the crow's intelligence the same as you understand yours. But the funny thing is that what I lately discovered in learning, it is that the learning takes place chaotically. It is not. It is a chaos. When you learn a new movement, it is a chaos what is going on, and you cannot steer it. You cannot do anything about it, and you have to allow it and get sort of connected to this knower within the substance.
Okay, so I have a sense that you're describing this transition to another time consciousness, because the past is there. It's present in everything. Everything is emanating the energy of the whole past in the present.
Yeah.
And so what you're creating is the new expression of the past that is already there. And you have there's no way that what you create cannot embody that which is already there, but also in a new way. So you're in another time consciousness when you're learning in the way that you're speaking. So that kind of transparency to the past and to the future and in the present moment of everything is a transition. It's you're making an actual transition of consciousness by having that experience.
Oh.
And you're having it because you have the energy for it. You've cultivated the energy for that to be possible. And this is what we need to be teaching. But teaching means modeling, presenting, and we need to be presenting this teaching in different with different forms, different types of energy, and so that it becomes integral. And in philosophy, I came to this point earlier this year where you can see that critical thinking emerged sometime after World War II, and it integrated everything that went back all the way to the 16th, 17th century. And so these, especially German philosophers, were speaking about the possibility of a society in which every person's freedom contributes to the well-being of the society as a whole, and it is no longer bound by those Freudian repressions and the Marxist and the Freudian period of understanding is broken completely because we have learned as human beings to be free from all of those things, to be free from labor and capital, and to be free from repression and the death instinct, and to be energizing our creative capacities in a new way. These people like Marcuse and Fromm were actually seeing that possibility of absolute freedom manifesting in society. But it didn't. But it will. So we have to pick up again, that view and the potential of it, and express it not only in music but in philosophy and in social practices, that are relevant not just in the context of the ashram, but that are really relevant to an emerging humanity. That emerging humanity has to be learning how to be free. So an integral learning process for a new time consciousness and a new creativity and a new grasp of the relationship between vision and speech, that is a higher level of something which already existed forever. You know, all of these things can emerge when we're together emerging them.
Yes.
But somebody has to be actually doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, I believe that it is happening, you know.
Yeah.
At least this is my experience, and that's why everything is so different. But it is funny how same it is. Because the difference, you know, I mean, the student, he must do certain things in this and this way. This and this must be accomplished. It is like in architecture. You cannot say you are free to do what you want, you know. There are certain things that have to be standing like this or that. But then to see it as an expression of a knowing kind of spirit that is doing it, and to connect instead of forcing it into a kind of mental frame, and now you have to, and things like this, make him discover the freedom to connect to that spirit which knows in it. And by doing it, accomplishing the task of making this bridge, of knowing oneself there inside. And this is, in music, I believe that music is quite capable of showing the way.
Yeah. And can you think about Ayurveda, or, you know, we were talking about some people who have skills like that. And can you imagine that this kind of Ayurvedic knowledge of diet and physical types and all of that is not based upon some school of you know, scientific understanding of those things, but everybody is actually spontaneously aware of their own body types and the energy levels of foods around them, and they're spontaneously treating themselves according to Ayurvedic principles, and there's no formula. There's no, you know, you have to look at this color and this heat and this food and analyze everything that might be true or might not be true. And psychology works like that also. I was telling Vladimir that there's a psychologist from Australia who wants to join us, and he has created a program for teaching people psychologically how to move from the restrictions of conventional values into a really truly sustainable lifestyle that is free from all of the constraints of society. But he does it, as Vladimir says, in this kind of apprehensive, scientific formula manner, and his book is like that, and his approach is like that. But what he sees is beyond that. But he doesn't yet make the step, which I think he will make. And we can help, you know, if he joins us, we can be in that process of making that step towards a liberated psychology. And it's not based anymore on this school and that school and this guru and that practice and you know, so on. It becomes an actual process of liberation that people are engaged with. And then other people can come into that and learn from it. So yeah, it is going on, but it's going on in a kind of still fragmented, individualistic way.
Yeah, this is exactly the point I wanted also to arrive at, that this kind of learning, it is not that you become then guru for others. And it is because the people, they like it, you know. They like, yeah, we have, and they erect, no, these philosophers and this, oh, this man is very, and this, I feel it in this new form of learning, it falls completely away. And this is what is the same about the returning to the ashram. It was very nice when Manojda was speaking, and he said something very true. And he says, because of hierarchical necessities of work, there are people above you and under you. But in that sense of being symbols of this oneness, each from his part, we are all same. And this approach, you know, there is a kind of living community together where you understand each other in this way, where you start discovering. And the same thing is if I mean this kind of psychology, what is knowledge, and where it comes from, to be connected with that, because knowledge is always in time surging. It is always coming out. It is always becoming bigger and bigger, and the oneness is becoming. It's a becoming thing. You can't pull on it. It needs its time, what it needs its time. That's why this freedom to just relax and let it work, just being amazed at how it works, yes? And to come into that situation of, even with the others, you know, when they come, to give up this kind of glorification kind of thing, of that individual consciousness. This is all bullshit. I'm sorry, but it is deeply annoying. When they come and they tell you, oh, this is awesome, and this is incredible and fantastic, and he has just come and he's done this one and this one. All this kind of old world, you know. I can't do anything with it. I just run away from it.
So there are some people who are ready to be away from it, and it will be perfectly natural for them. But there are other people who are still completely stuck.
Yeah.
And they're waiting for somebody to do it for them.
No, impossible.
Plenty of people like that. But we don't need to be so much concerned with that.
No, naturally not.
There is one thing which I want to add to this kind of thinking, and which may be important. That you see, this between apprehensive and comprehensive cognition. Comprehensive can be done only by individual. And there is no way that collectivity would comprehend. Yeah? It is only through individual that comprehension takes place. But apprehension takes place through collectivity. Collectivity can state what is available, what is not available, how it should be done, what it is. It can be all embodied in the collective consciousness, but not understanding. Understanding is always related to this kind of discovery from individual. And in that sense, it is coming and going. It is not staying always. There are no individuals who have total and constant comprehension of things. Yes.
So you don't think there are some?
There are some who have it more often and are more interested in it. As ourselves, so to say, our group, we are searching for meaning. We are searching for to understand the whole world and ourselves and so on. But even this understanding, as you know it by experience, cannot stay always. Yes, it is a kind of revisiting us. Yes, with its flashes. Sometimes they are deeper. Sometimes they are less deep. Sometimes they are not there. And we only kind of state things apprehensively, what is there, in hoping that that comprehension will come.
But that it becomes a blockage, those apperceptive structures which are socialized, embodied, actually are obstacles to the comprehension by the individuals. They're forced to be subjected. They're subjected to those structures.
Right. If they are subjected, and if they are happy with only stating them and getting all the support from the society in terms of salaries and money, that they are repeating the same cult, drawing the same pictures, everyone stating the same values and ideas, and then being supported, what else is there to do for them? Nothing much to understand. Just go on, live your life. But understanding is, what I want to say, is an individual discovery always. And in that sense, we should not belittle individuals. Individuals are those who are seeking for meaning, for life. There are not many, by the way. And in that sense, you will find, I would call these people elite. Yeah, elite in a positive sense, and not in a negative, as some kind of people, thieves who stole money and now rule the world. No, those who are seeking for the deeper meaning.
If you take the organization of Sire in Oroville, where all the decisions are taken by a small group of people who are not individually comprehending anything, but they have the control of all of that money from the government,
right.
and they use it in ways that are quite obviously useless.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by elitism.
Right. No,
that is what is happening in the world everywhere, and that's would be really interesting, how you get the right people on the right places.
Yeah. Well, first the right people have to emerge and want to be in places that affect the common structures that everybody understands. So I think that the comprehensive individual can affect those structures in proportion to that individual's comprehension. And by comprehension, I mean also energy and continuity, and I think it doesn't have to be intermittent and occasional. I think it can be permanent. And if it's not going to affect the other structures very much.
Right. When I said this, that comes and goes, that I meant this real comprehension. That aha thing, which happens when we are working on it. Yeah, we are really concentrating, aspiring to know. The aspiration is there, but I say these aspiring people are not many to know, to have this aha. Yes. And we are gathering them, we are looking for them, and they are valuable to us, not because they know, but because they can know. Yeah, not because they really know, but because they know that they know very little and they want to know more. They are aspiring to know more. And in that sense, I would not discard so easily individuals. I would really, and Latso is one of those rare individuals for me, who is seeking for knowledge, who has thirst to know. And I don't know many such people. Truly speaking, only few in Russia I know who are now. I found them only recently, 1 year back. Few people who are seeking for knowledge, truly seeking, not in the format of certain religion or philosophy and getting some advantage of it in the society, some job or something, which we usually have. What I wanted to say, one more thing in this discussion, which was interesting, is that Gunhild mentioned that behind every one of us, there is a group of people naturally emerging. Rod has a big group of people with his studies of savagery and philosophy there in the US, for example. He becomes the center of that kind of connectivity of those people to this kind of central meaningful seeking for the truth group. Yes, and it would be interesting if you bring your people who know you, who trust you, who are seeking for this, and you see them into this kind of center, our reveal center, yes, our Uhu center, whatever. There can be groups. I have groups now emerging behind me. It's spontaneously happening. It's not me doing it, that people come into contact. I didn't put them into contact with this idea yet, but they are all already, I see, they are seeking for this. And we can really kind of network. We can develop in a more natural way. It's already taking place. The same with Latso. He has the whole ashram there behind him.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, these ashramites are there. And yes,
Yeah.
Richard and everyone, those beautiful individuals.
How many can you count them?
No, but
One, two, three.
I had an interesting experience because with Gilles, good friend of mine who loves
Gilles?
classical music.
Yeah, I know Gilles.
And he was telling me that I told you, Vladimir, that he heard this concert that we have given in the ashram, and I have played the shakon. And he's always a bit snobbish. Since 30 years, he's snobbish with me about classical music. Snobbish in the sense, yeah, but how they play, and it's fantastic, I heard. And I tell him always, you know what? They give me on the nerves, and I don't find that they play so well, as you say. They have a beautiful technique, and they are very strong beings, but what they say doesn't speak to me. It is old stuff. Yeah. Now he comes with that thing because it is a connection which I have to the old kind of, for me, old kind of understanding of music, and in that old psychology, which is God knows what. And he comes lately and said, but you know that you were bugging me for 20 years with all your stupid stuff, which I didn't understand. And he said, but that concert, I have never heard anything like that. I don't mean it to say that I have done anything, because it is not due to that. It is no more that I do something. And I am completely against it, because if I should be proud, I can be proud when I get for a concert $20,000. Okay, then I can say, you have made it, man, in this world, yes? I don't get anything, just few scattered people. And the thing is, what I am after, it is what has touched him, what was so different. And these 20 years that I try to explain to him what is so different about, Vladimir, I have told you, this is this line, and also you wrote, exactly, we were talking about it. And it is based on very simple facts, which I observe, and then happens something which I have no hand on it. The expression, this expressor comes down by himself, and he does with this material what is here, what he likes. And Rod, you know it exactly how it is in these meditations and in these Savitri readings, that you have suddenly these moments where something happens, and you are just a spectator. And with this, I want to say that to get at these essentialities of your outlook and of your knowledge and be able to share them is damn difficult. Because you say one word, and for you it is the universe, and they understand just that word among all these other million words, and all is the same, and there is nothing that remains. Those who are your students, whom you teach, they start valuing it, because you repeat, you bang them in their head that this word is very, very important, that they have to grow on that word into that experience of that essentiality. And this essentiality, it is our contact. And it is this even in the world, when you are speaking about this. I have the feeling that usually when we speak about knowledge, about things, we lose the contact. We are just speaking about it on this horizontal level. And this contact is always vertical. So when we meet, there is this kind of mother's love, you know, because it was this contact from above your head. And when Sri Aurobindo speaks about it in the synthesis of yoga, you know it, no? And have this always there, up there. And this will unite us. And how can you explain this to someone?
Yeah, well, you don't explain it, you demonstrate it.
Yeah, but it is so subtle.
And, you know, I see again an image which I saw when you were speaking in Oroville this year. There's this turning around, this spiral of energy, which is horizontal, you know, in appearance, but after so much turning around, it becomes vertical, and you create the channel by all of this turning around. And even now, by talking about these things, you know, we go in many horizontal directions.
Yeah.
But then eventually we start to see something which is expressing itself through this stupid language that we use, and because we are speaking through 10,000 miles of digital information systems and so on, it's kind of ridiculous. but even then, you can see the pattern is emerging. So I wanted to come back to this example of Gilles. You know, there are these structures in human beings. Human beings are made of consciousness structures, and they are capable of knowing and feeling and seeing much more than they normally do, because the energy is not there. You know, we're using energy from food and from the environment and from the society. So suddenly he sees something because you're manifesting, you're channeling that energy, which makes it possible to see it. And so I have this experience all the time, you know, with people who don't, you know, they don't understand anything. And I don't know how to explain anything to them. But then suddenly there's a moment in the process where they feel and they see and they understand something that is transmitted, you know, in a way that you can't explain it and you can't anticipate it. You can only participate in it at your level, and then someone else participates in it from their level, and then they understand something suddenly.
I understand what you mean, but you know, there is another thing that I am teaching it actually. Because if you want, I have their students, and there are not many now, but when I come and I remind them on the same thing and getting in touch with the same thing, they know what they should do. And these miracles, they don't do anymore because of me, but because of their own consciousness. And they become aware of that power of their own system.
There are two things here which both of you expressed the same, and actually we had very interesting conversations with my group from Russia on the integral paradigm. I have a group. We are meeting, so to say. I am the representative of that subgroup, yeah, so to say here, which is a good idea. I like this idea that we have groups which we prepare and bring in, and then they will. I already invited them to our forum. They may join, some of them, and be part of it. But here, what is interesting, in both expressions, when we do horizontal thing, when we lay out what we have to have a very precise and well-arranged knowledge. A knowledge which works, and that means which can give some comprehensive understanding of things. So it has to be well organized, it has to be well polished. Mother even speaks about occult knowledge in ancient Egypt, which had power, though it was mental knowledge which had power and was effective because it was true. Now, when you think about this, that means that apprehensive setup can be well arranged, which can be very well conducive to the comprehensive opening. And here we have the same issue. You are teaching students, you tell them apprehensive setup, which may cause in them comprehensive opening, yes, and you have it already yourself, and it becomes contagious to them. But in this apprehensive setup only, when without it, it would be very difficult. It would be something else, yes?
Impossible.
Right. And it has to be repeated. It has to have cycles of repetition
Exactly.
in order to make that opening.
Right.
It is like that. So we saw in that same February happening of this year that it was not possible to achieve with a group this oneness with the sticks, you know. We have tried it. You remember?
Yeah.
We had sticks, and then I said, okay, we concentrate on this.
Yeah, this is an unforgettable failure.
This is fantastic, because it shows you now we come exactly to that necessities of this apprehensive setup, what it is and what it touches within the being. So this happening, this can become possible. I have spoken to Pushkar about it, and I hope I will be there in February. I am do everything possible to be there. And with him, it was also not possible for 10 years, you know. We couldn't make it. Lately, I spoke to him again, and we were speaking about this phenomenon, and we tried it. We tried it out. It was perfect. Faultless. Now, I have there a backup man with me, with whom I can demonstrate it, and sort of allure you all into the same kind of magnetic field of that oneness. Which
Car key, it's there on this. On there. Yeah, please go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't take it.
So I have some students now. You know, this big so-called big group, which Vladimir is mentioning. You know, it's 15 or 20 people who are spread around the United States and Europe, and it's not it's becoming cohesive, but there are a few individuals in that group who are truly progressing in their own comprehension. And you know, some of these people have been studying Sri Aurobindo and the Mother religiously for a decade, and finally they realized they didn't understand anything. But they were very serious students, and they were making huge sacrifices in their lives because of their devotion and their study, and then suddenly it completely, everything collapses. And they realize that they haven't understood anything correctly, and what they have done has not achieved anything else. But then they start to have experiences, and they learn what is really there, which they were always studying and not seeing. And suddenly they make very rapid, beautiful progress in their own consciousness.
Yeah, because they have all the material already there, so they can just refashion it in a new way. And
you know, I think their problem is similar to the problem of music students, where they have learned certain techniques for reading and analyzing and understanding, and they apply those techniques to Sri Aurobindo's words, and it doesn't work. And the Shruti is something different from that.
right.
But we don't know the difference unless we hear and see suddenly something.
Right.
So that is what what Latso is enabling, is for people to see something which they have or hear something which they have the capacity to hear, but their society and their training and their experience haven't allowed them to actually hear that themselves. So this is a teaching type of relationship that actually works.
Yes, it works. But it is, it is a fantastic phenomenon which we could look at later in more detail, because you can't really see it if you don't put it together.
Yeah.
Because to hold it, really, you have to hold something which you can't see.
Yeah, and I think you can't, if I may be a little bit philosophical here, you can't see it because it's spread out over hundreds of years. So how can you see something which has an embodiment on a plane that is not bound by space?
Yes, but it is that if you want to see it, you have to bind it to space. You have to bind it to a continuity. If you don't know what it is you have to bind to that continuity, you cannot do it, so you cannot hear it.
Yeah.
It is impossible to enter. So there needs to be a kind of uniting thing, uniting center, which can, and this is, I was talking to it with Vladimir, faith and love. These are two things. There is the things of holding and leaning in the body, because you have to express it with the body. So you can lean only into something which holds you. And you have to know which part can lean and which part is holding. If you haven't, and this holding and leaning has its reflection on all the parts of the being. It is not only in the body. It is also in the eyes. You hold with the inner eye of sight. And this seeing, this inner seeing, is not only the seeing. This is the fantastic thing, because it can be stretched on into philosophy, into spirituality, into whatever you want, if you believe in those things. Yeah, this becomes then very concrete. So when I work with the students, we work on such phenomena. I don't even teach them music, Music comes by itself. But if you don't know what to hold and how to hold, and to make it constant and observable, then suddenly, something else emerges above.
It sounds a bit like the integral paradigm. You're bringing together all the levels, or all the approaches. Everything is there, and that only happens when you have the energy to bring it together. So most people are dispersed, and also dispersed with respect to a certain set of limitations, which can be a key for them, but it has to be exposed to the other levels of energy to become integral, for it to actually be itself also. I'm thinking of philosophy and psychology. People can be very knowledgeable about human psychology, and they can know many techniques, and they can have a very good will to help people to understand themselves. And there are plenty of people who do that. and they do it in the medical field and in the arts and so on. So the human being has all of these tools, but to really bring them together and make them instruments for seeing and knowing is a level of energy that we get by yoga, you know, or some geniuses get it just spontaneously. So this is a work, as Vladimir says, there's work to do in each of these areas to liberate them from themselves and also to discover what they actually are.
Yeah, it is true. The only thing is that if your life depends on it to be in a certain way and in a certain system, or you believe that your life depends on it, like this Japanese girl who visited the ashram, I have opened her up to this kind of. She was a violinist. She is a violinist, a good one. And I have told her, listen, try this and that and this and that. Her father, who is a Chinese guy in Auroville, you might know him. He's there since mother's time, rich guy. And he told her, listen, you listen to him, then you become famous and you become very rich.
That's a motivation.
Yeah. Now,
only it won't work, but it doesn't matter.
she has this friend from Juilliard School of Music, you know, in New York and all that, and very famous people and ta-da-da. And then she told me when I explained her, but come, I will teach you. I will show you how it works, because she's a friend. She's a good friend. And she said, but Latso, I have to make my living.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this was the answer. Very sincere answer, but I have to make my living. Mm-hmm. So how many people around the world are stuck into that paradigm?
Everyone.
Everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone.
So that's why it is so
even
difficult.
We are stuck. So it's fine. And we are still managing in between something else.
No, Vladko, I am not stuck because I am suffering it. Yeah, I don't find in Europe even people to play with. Mm. Even those who were friends here, everything is like, yes, fine, but you are a kind of funny bird of paradise, yeah? They don't want to have anything to do with you. They want to stick in their own known field.
Right.
So there's a Chinese woman. I mentioned her to you last year. She was planning to come to Oroville, but she didn't come. But she's coming here to Crestone, and she's coming to Los Angeles, and now she's coming to Oroville, and she's giving us money. You know, our University of Human Unity money is all coming from her, and she and her husband are both very successful, and so she was studying Sri Aurobindo for 8 years, but she was also being the head of a big corporation, and she was running all around the world all the time, doing her work and earning her living, you know. And even she said they don't have to do that. They don't have to earn a living because they already made a fortune. But they still do it all the time, the same thing. And then, but wait. Then, so she was working with me, and we were having some nice breakthrough into what Sri Aurobindo is actually making possible, and she was feeling the stillness and the light descending and having a true spiritual experience. And then she said, I cannot continue that absurd corporation business because it's not at all conducive to this experience, which I wanted to have for 8 years, and which I was studying, you know, during my holidays. And she actually, in the last year, stepped out of that pattern, and she and her husband both have, you know, they have no need to pursue making a living, but they also have a very strong inner drive to be more conscious and to, you know, transform themselves. And it's working, but it's working because they stopped doing that that thing, you know.
This is the point.
Just very easy. You take away the blockage, and then you have the
exactly. Exactly. And this is, you know, when I hear that Pushkar says, no, but let's do like this, that we bring into Auroville these musicians and we will create orchestras and like this. And I say, God forbid, don't do that. Because they bring all their, this, if they really, it's possible that it could work if there is a bug in their system, you know. If you don't put a bug in their system, which will make, see, Mother said it clearly, that you can convince people only with the strength. So if you become stronger than they are, then they will believe you.
We basically, what we try to do, we try to violate something which is already socially accepted as partial comprehension, partial participation in knowledge, so to say. It is given in such a way to everybody in society that people will participate in a particular way, get their bit of knowledge, but the rest of it will be how to say, covered, or will be substituted by money. So from the society you will get money, and with money you do whatever you want. But under condition that you will be a particular specialist in one narrow field, do your job well, and we will give you the rest. This is the condition. Now we try to break through that conditioning of the society and develop some integral personality, which is very costly for this society and very unwanted personalities. They don't want us to be there disturbing others, because others are doing well for this kind of world with the rich on the top, who actually use all us being undeveloped. So we are paid for staying partially developed. We are paid for that.
Yeah,
you meet these your musicians, and you tell them we can go farther, and they say, stop, wait, we are paid for being partially undeveloped. Why do you call us for something? You are troublemaking. No?
Exactly. You are troublemaking.
Right. Actually, we are somehow helped by this money force, but in a way we have still, I'm just thinking, we have luxury problems if we go to some countries who are not even able to develop their free thought and they're being captured in such difficult situation. I feel we should send them good thoughts, because I don't want to say now particularly in this occasion.
No,
but
we are not kind of criticizing anyone. We are all in the same position, you know. And
I mean, in some countries,
we even agree to be partially developed, because I can't go back to be partially developed. I would like, in this society, I can't get a job. They ask me, were you partially undeveloped? And I say, no, I was kind of trying to do holistically being developed. And they say, no, we don't need such people. You know, you are not fitting into our society. If you can cut hair, or you can do something very perfectly in a particular field, we can hire you and you can live in our society. But if you are looking for something bigger than that, we don't know how to use you. You don't have place in our society. And this is the problem. Guys, I'm sorry, but I will have another appointment in a minute, by the way, 5 o'clock. So I would like, maybe I can leave you, you can continue if you like, or we can meet next week at the same time, and we will be already working more precisely, if you like, on the developing of the program or something for the seminar, and how we will meet and our subgroups. I like the idea of subgroups. Please think over about it, and the timing of the seminar and how we can meet for 1 month, maybe bring some people from our subgroups, as Rod was mentioning, from his group, this beautiful lady from China with her husband, maybe they come, or somebody else from my group, a Russian group will come. Very, very talented young people. You will be delighted to meet them. They are thinking, they are searching for knowledge. And so we could go on doing it.
No, with pleasure. I am in.
And you bring your ashramites, of course, at the same time. And not only ashramites, this person from Prague whom you met, who is seeking also something.
I will ask this Fabio,
yes,
if he wants to meet, from Italy.
Yeah, from Italy. They are most welcome, of course.
Okay. Yeah, I will ask.
So what I suggested that we do January and February meetings twice a week.
Okay. Right.
Then we have a few days of more intense meeting.
Okay.
Okay, let us kind of think over and meet in a week and discuss it, to continue discussion. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, see you later. Bye-bye.
See you all.